Mommispace, a place where you can remember who you are in the midst of it all. This podcast gives moms of all stages a voice to share their experiences and the truth that there is no right way to mom. Welcome back to Mommispace. This is Bree, and today I am here with Megan Schimmel. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here.
Oh, good. I'm so excited to have you on. We got connected actually. I think our main point of contact is my sister-in-law, Hannah.
Yes.
You guys have a really sweet, I think, group of girls that get together. And I have always seen like posts that she's done with like, oh, I'm hanging out with my friends. And I'm like, oh, like so sweet. And then everybody started having babies. And I remember her telling me about you and your journey as far as when you gave birth and all of the stuff that happened with that. And so I was just really excited to connect with you and hear more about your story from you. But yeah, before we kind of dive in, would you just share a little bit about yourself and your family and what daily life looks like for you right now?
Yeah, so I'm Megan. I live in Redding, California, a small little town. I'm originally from Chicago, so I
Oh,
love
wow.
the warmth of California. I don't miss the cold at all. But I'm married to my husband, Jeremy, and we have a 4-month-old baby girl named Lily. And one thing about us is all of us have the most common form of dwarfism called achondroplasia. So that's kind of a big factor in our family.
Yeah.
It just has kind of defined who we are, but doesn't really limit us a whole lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so daily life looks like I'm working full time for Iris Global Ministries.
Wow.
I work in their finance office, and so I've been back to work for about a month full time
Oh,
now.
wow.
So it's been kind
Dang.
of interesting, like trying to balance, okay, what does it look like to be a
Yeah.
full-time mom away from home? And
Wow.
then 2 days a week I get to work from home, which is nice.
Wow.
And then my husband Jeremy is kind of stay-at-home dad. He works for Dynasty Toys right now, which is what
Yeah.
Joshua does. So we he's kind of doing stay-at-home dad stuff, and I'm
Nice.
working away from home, but I'm kind of wanting to one day transition to be at home. I
Yeah.
think that would be my dream. But
Mm.
yeah, so I think we're just kind of in a lot of transition of figuring out what family looks like, what our daily routine looks like now that I'm back at work and I'm
Yeah.
not on maternity leave, just staying at home every day. So
Oh,
so yeah,
wow.
it's definitely a journey, but
Wow.
we're learning every day. So
Wow. Yeah, I definitely want to hear about how that's been for you. It's just with that transition. I can't believe it's only been 4 months. It feels like it's been longer than that for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah,
But
it
wow.
feels like a life, like it
Oh,
feels like
yeah.
a lifetime, but at
Yeah.
the same time, also, I can't believe she's 4 months already.
Oh,
So it
yes.
like goes really slow in
Oh,
some of the
yep.
hard moments, but
Yep.
then also in a blink of an eye,
Yeah.
it's just gone.
So
So
true. So true. Cool. Okay, well, I would love for you to share your journey into motherhood. Kind of give us some background as far as like if you guys were trying to get pregnant. Maybe just I don't know, just kind of dive in. What was that like for you guys?
yeah, so my husband and I knew that I think we he was in the Bethel School of Ministry. So we wanted to wait until he was done with that before we started trying, or at least when we had baby, that she would be born after he was done with school. So we felt like the Lord told us last September that it was okay to start trying.
Hmm.
And so, but the thing with us, because we both have achondroplasia, we have a little bit of statistics that we have to work with. So we have a 50% chance that we'll have a baby that'll also have dwarfism like us. And then a 25% chance that we won't pass the gene on at all, and our baby will be average height. And then we have a 25% chance that we both pass on the gene. And that's a lethal condition to the baby, and
Wow.
they don't live. So we had like a
Wow.
75% chance of having a healthy baby. Um, and there's kind of a lot of pressure in the medical field to do testing and to find out whether
Yeah.
your baby is what they call double dominant or not, because
Wow.
the only way I can give birth is through a C-section, and so they don't want to they don't really want to see you go to full term if you're going to have a double dominant baby that's not going to live, and then you
Wow.
have to go through a C-section. So there's a lot of pressure to do testing, and then there's yeah. So we knew, I think ahead of time, we knew that whatever was going to happen, we were going to go to full term. Whether it was double dominant or not, like we
Wow.
just felt like we were just going to take whatever cards were given to us.
Mm.
And so we just prayed and prayed and made declarations that our baby was going to be healthy.
Mm.
And so in September, we started trying. And I think, I mean, we weren't really trying, like we were kind of trying.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I thought it would be easy. And we didn't. We didn't get pregnant in the first month, and I was a little bit disappointed. But then
Mm.
the Lord reminded me. He very clearly told me, well, you asked for a baby that wasn't going to be double dominant. So I let
Mm.
that one slide.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh,
Wow.
okay, you're right. I did. And so I'm okay waiting a month and not getting
Yeah.
pregnant. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. Um, so then the next month we tried again and we got pregnant.
Wow.
And we were super excited, but all of a sudden all this fear came on that
Mm.
we just didn't know. We didn't know what our statistics were,
Yeah.
what our baby was. And so we just had a lot of people praying and a lot of people just declaring that she was going to be healthy. And so we were kind of afraid to tell people
Mm.
that we were pregnant right away because we wanted to know whether she was little or average or
Mm.
double dominant before we told people, because we wanted to be able to say like, hey, this is our situation, this is how you can pray for us, or this is
Mm.
how you can support us,
Yeah.
if it was a negative, not the
Sure.
best case scenario. um, and so we thought we were going to be able to do a blood test to find out whether she was little or not. But because I also carry the gene, the blood test isn't fancy enough
Hmm.
to to decipher between my genes and her genes.
Okay.
So at 10 weeks, we thought we were going to know, and then we found out we won't actually be able to find out till 20 weeks when they do an
Oh,
ultrasound.
wow.
And so we had our time of waiting just
Oh,
doubled, which
dang.
awful. Um, so my husband and I, we decided to tell his revival group, like we just needed a community of people to
Yeah.
know, and we didn't know what the scenario was, but we just wanted someone to know.
Yeah.
And we were on our way to a conference following after that, and it was an Iris Global Conference, and David Wagner was one of the speakers. And I didn't really know David Wagner or who he was, but knew he was some prophetic guy that had a gifting. Um, and so I was like, okay, Lord, I just need a sign that our baby girl is going to be okay.
Mm.
I need a prophetic word from David Wagner in a meeting. Like it was kind of
Wow.
like, I need this, this, this,
Yeah.
this, and this. And I need you to make this happen. So I know like our baby is going to be fine. But really had no faith at all that that would happen. Because when you want a prophetic word
Yeah.
from someone, that never happens.
I
Like
know, totally.
it just doesn't. And so, so we went to this conference, and sure enough, he did his whole little talk or his message, and then at the end of the message, he walked off the stage and walked directly to Jeremy and I, and basically read our mail,
No
and
way.
told us like, "Hey, there's something. There's a miracle growing in your body right now.
Oh my gosh.
Things that you've been dreaming about since you were a tiny
Oh.
little girl are going to happen this year. Like." just kept like word for word every little like thing that we were afraid of. He kind of just put out, like he was like, this is going to happen. um and so then we had this crazy spot on prophetic word of that kind of got us through our journey of pregnancy, because then it got us to our 20-week ultrasound, and like at that point we were kind of like, well, the Lord is on our side. We
Yeah.
um he knows that we're pregnant. Like, I asked him for this sign from the sky basically, and it came to us.
Oh.
And so then we had our first ultrasound, and things looked good, and she looked like she was like going to be average height. And so we were really excited because we thought that took away
Mm.
the lethal risks. And then they wanted us to come back 3 weeks later for another ultrasound. So then around then is when things started to shift a little bit, and some of her measurements were slowing down. And so we knew she was no longer average height, and she was either going to be a little person or she was going to have this lethal condition. And so now we were kind of at like a 50-50 shot. Um,
Wow.
and so then we had to wait till like 30 weeks till we knew anything.
Oh
And
my
around 30
gosh.
weeks at that ultrasound, they were able to kind of without being like 100% certain, they could say, we think your baby is going to live. We think she's going to be
Wow.
fine. We think she has achondroplasia, but we can't tell you with 100% certainty. And so our whole pregnancy journey was kind of, doctors wouldn't want to tell us um, for sure because they didn't really know. And we decided not to do amnio,
Yeah.
any of the testing, because there's miscarriage risks that
Mm.
went along with that. And then if it were to be double dominant, it wasn't going to change anything. And we didn't want to feel pressured by some
Yeah.
of the medical team to make decisions that we didn't want to make, um, if we knew a diagnosis. So we just went with faith, and prayed a lot along the way, and
Mm.
had crazy prophetic words that were amazing. But also, we are human beings, so that even with the most crazy
Yeah.
like prophetic word from the sky, I feel like we still had to battle fear a lot,
Yeah.
of whether she was going to live or not when we met her. But
Wow.
yeah, so we had a scheduled C-section, and we met her, and she came into the world and was super happy and healthy, and
Wow.
she didn't have the lethal condition. So
Oh.
we were super excited. So
Wow.
she's the cutest little thing now.
Oh
She's the
man.
rolliest baby I've ever seen. Um, and yeah, she's great. So that was kind of our
Yeah.
like process to get pregnant and to
Wow.
go through pregnancy.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and then once she was born, she was fine for about 12 hours, and then she had some medical conditions. She had um, like two little holes in her heart that had nothing to do with
Mm.
being a little person. It's just
Wow.
something that happens during birth. I guess there's a hole that's open in your heart that closes when you're born,
Wow.
but hers decided not to close.
Okay.
And so we had a lot of doctors trying to figure out what was the matter. She had to get life flighted to UC Davis
Oh my
from Reading.
gosh.
And then we were in the NICU for 3 weeks.
Oh
So
wow.
we had kind of a rough start, but she's now thriving and doing really, really
Mm.
well. So it was definitely a journey of
Wow.
just a lot of prayers and a
Yeah.
lot of declarations that no matter what we faced, we had a promise from the Lord that our
Mm.
dreams that we had been dreaming about since we were little kids, were going to come true. So
Wow.
yeah, we just held on to that for
Mm.
the whole process.
That's amazing. Thank you for going into depth there. That's like it's just so cool to hear like from beginning to now like what you guys have endured and pressed into. It's very powerful to hear.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so I guess I'd love to hear kind of where you're at now. Like you'd mentioned at the beginning, so you spent a lot of the beginning of her life in the hospital and away from home. How was it then kind of getting into a rhythm once you were able to bring her home? and then maybe catch us up to speed on like what it's like been what it's been like going back to work and all of that.
Yeah, so well, it was kind of funny, not funny, but kind of. I guess that's probably like my sarcasm filter just coming through. But so also, California has had like the worst fire
Oh my
season in
gosh,
history,
yes.
right? So the day we get we're told, oh, you guys can go home tomorrow. Our entire city is about to
Oh my gosh,
burn
yeah.
up.
Oh.
And so all of our friends were evacuating Reading. And in the
Oh no.
NICU, they were evacuating all of the little babies from
What?
Reading to the UC Davis NICU. So they're like, yeah, you guys can go home tomorrow. You're discharged. And we were like, great.
Oh my
Our
gosh.
home may not be there.
Oh my gosh.
Our house may catch on fire.
Oh my word.
So it was literally like felt like a
What?
movie slash I didn't at that point know whether to like laugh or cry.
Oh my
'Cause,
goodness.
so then we had like a week or two maybe where Jeremy's family lives in Davis. So it was nice that we had family kind of nearby. So
Oh,
we
that's good.
hunkered down in Davis for about a week and a half.
Wow.
And the hospital was great. They gave us like things to take with us because we didn't have anything. Like
Oh my gosh.
all of the stuff like that you register for and that people tell you
Oh man.
this, you need this, you need this thing will change your life and it will help your baby sleep. Like we had none of that
Oh
because
my
it was all at
gosh.
home. And so the hospital gave us a box to put our baby in to
No
sleep in.
way.
Yeah, it was like a giant shoebox.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we kind of just camped out at family's house, put our baby in a box to sleep, and
Wow.
just kind of made it work. And but it was kind of, I guess, like on the bright side, we then knew like, okay, this is the least amount of things we need. If
Uh-huh.
we ever need to
Yeah,
travel anywhere, like
totally.
we only need a box, we only need
Oh my gosh.
Siri or whatever on my phone to play some YouTube like sound machine
Yes.
video and we're good to go.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so our transition home was a little delayed, but
Oh.
after that, we got home and I had like 12 weeks of maternity leave, which was incredible. I think
Wow.
California, of all the states, is one of the better states, I think, that
Mm.
really helps moms out. And then my job was also super flexible with letting me take time off. So I had a lot of time to just
That's so
kind of
good.
get into the rhythm, and Lily was on a really great schedule. Like I think
Mm.
that was one of the pluses of being in the NICU is um like every 3 hours on the dot she would want to eat, and so we
Wow.
were we were able to bring her home and we already knew her schedule, we
That's
already
so
knew her
good.
rhythm, we didn't have to kind of figure that out half
Wow.
asleep
Yeah.
in a zombie state. Like she just came pre-programmed
That's
with
crazy. Wow.
a
Oh my
schedule.
gosh.
So I think adjusting wasn't really as bad or like as hard as some parents made
Yeah.
me feel like it would be. Because we knew when she would sleep, she had a bunch of tongue tie, or she had some tongue tie issues. Um, and so I was just pumping, exclusively pumping. And so my husband would take turns, like he would do one shift at night, I would do the next shift.
Wow.
So we were kind of able to break up some of the sleepless nights a little bit.
That's so
Um,
nice.
and yeah, and then she just forever has kind of stayed on her schedule.
That's
So it's
amazing.
been really easy, I think, a lot easier than it could have been,
Yeah.
to transition into like what normal life looks like. Now it's just like, so I will go to work at like 7:30 in the morning and I'll feed her beforehand and then I'll try to pump at work, which is just an awkward thing.
Oh my
I don't know.
gosh. Yeah.
It's like it's the worst if I'm gonna be real. Like I think
Oh.
in in America, we're not super great at making um, making moms feel super great about pumping in public or having
Yeah.
to do what they need to do. Um, so I do that, and then I work, and then I come home and I spend like 3 hours with my baby, and then um, have been trying to like. There's other things I want to do besides just working in finance. Like I went to school for art and psychology, and
Oh,
love
wow.
being creative and doing artsy things, and so have
Oh,
been trying to access that part of my brain when I get home, um,
wow.
and trying to, I don't know, do more
Yeah.
artsy calligraphy sort of things.
Oh,
So
wow. That's amazing.
yeah, so it's yeah, we're just I don't know, just transitioning, trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to do life now, and
Wow. Wow. That's so cool.
yeah,
Dang, yeah, that's like that is a ton of transition and like you said before, like you're still in it, like it's still the beginning stages too. So I imagine like it's just there's constant change and all of
yeah.
that. Like how has that been as far as like trying to be flexible with um I don't know, with all of because I can't even remember at this point the changes that happen like at that age. I'm like
She
totally spacing out.
yeah, she's it's been good. Like I mean, we think we know her and we think we have a rhythm down, and then it
Oh,
changes.
I know.
You know, so we've
Yes.
Amazon Prime has been our best friend through all of the
Yes.
changes because I think I'm a friend once told me like if you think you need something or if you think it'll help, like don't question it,
Yeah.
just buy it.
Yeah.
And it was the best like advice I think that I've ever
That's
been
good
given because
advice.
I was like, okay, I mean it's maybe not financially responsible advice,
I know.
in the moment, like there's things where I would kind of be like, well, I wonder if this swaddle will help her because
Uh-huh.
she's not like liking the ones she has. And I would kind of question it for like 4 or 5 days because I would want to be like financially responsible.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, what the heck? I'm just going to buy this $60
Yeah.
swaddle.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
once I bought it, I was like, this changed my life. And she's sleeping. And I should have
Oh,
done this a week ago. So
dude, that's
I
amazing.
think, I think Amazon Prime has
Mm,
been our huge
mm.
huge best friend trying to figure out each little season that she goes through. Um, this week she just started sleeping. We just dropped her dream feed and she's slept like 11 and a half hours straight.
Wow. Go,
So,
girl. That's
so
amazing.
Jeremy and I are like, yeah, we got this. And then today she was a little fussy. And so
Yeah.
we're like, oh, maybe we don't. Maybe okay, so I think like we get really confident and then
Uh,
we get a little humble pie handed to
uh-huh.
us and it just goes back and forth.
Oh
But
man.
she kind of was in the she's transitioning out of her swaddle. She loved being like tightly swaddled.
Oh.
And so now that she can learn how to like she's learning how to roll over, we have to not swaddle her, but so she has this like space suit that we got
Nice.
that kind of looks like the Christmas story,
No way.
like snowsuit that the little kid is in, and
Yes.
he can't like bend his arms,
Oh
and
my
he waddles when
gosh.
he runs, and she looks kind of like that when she's sleeping now.
I
She
want
just
to see a picture.
yeah
That sounds so cute.
she is a little space suit that she
Oh
kind of sleeps in. So
my gosh, that's awesome.
yeah, I guess Amazon has just saved our life
Yeah.
tremendously because I'm a sucker for every product
Oh
that
my gosh.
will
I
help her sleep.
remember I remember like sitting in bed when Bobby was still like a little teeny tiny and I did the same thing. I was like, "Oh, like this teether looks good." She started teething it like feels like at 2 months or something. So, just all of those things I was like constantly searching. And I think that is like fair advice like if you're able to do it financially too like um it's kind of I heard a similar advice, not the same, but like when you travel with your baby like for the first time I
Mhm.
remember like asking people like, what do you do? Like, what do you take? And I had somebody say, just take everything. Just take everything. It's okay. Like, take anything and everything that will make you feel comfortable. You won't regret it. Like, So I think it's kind of similar in that sense. Like it's their first time, like you're figuring it out, and it's okay to like try a bunch of stuff. Like, and then you kind of figure out what you need, and you'll have some left over if you have another kid. So
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, you can hopefully return it,
there
or
you go.
some things you can.
That's so
So,
good. That's so true.
win-win.
There you go. Oh man. Okay, so I love that you kind of touched on some of the like creative things that you do on the side. I like to ask moms like what brings you life, what brings you joy within motherhood. And I know it's still like you're still like working those things out, but what are some things that you do to like take care of yourself and to like tend to those places in you that like bring you life and joy?
I think for me, like making sure I set out time. I tend to be a planner, so I like to
Nice.
like know what my day is going to look like and know what my week is going to look like. And so if I set out time, like to know, like, okay, after Lily goes to bed from 7:30 to 8:30, Jeremy's going to play video games and I am going to like have me time. And that may look like doing some nerdy calligraphy
Yes.
lettering thing, or that may look like um, watching Netflix, like I
Yeah.
watching some girly show. Like I think for me, it's like just making sure I make time for that, and then also making time for being with friends. So you kind of touched on it at the very beginning,
Yeah.
but I'm in a group of, I think there's five of us, and we are all kind of got married within like 2 years apart of each other, I think, and we're all kind of lived the same season of life. And
Wow.
then one person got pregnant, and then it caught on, like something was in the water, and
That's
by
so funny.
the end of the year, every single person is pregnant or has been pregnant or has a
Oh
baby.
my gosh.
But it's been the best. Like it's been so great to then like if I'm having a hard day with Lily to then go hang out with these girls and just say like this is how I feel. Is this normal? Or like I don't know, I feel like a hormonal crazy person.
Yeah.
And am I overreacting or am I
Oh.
um, yeah, I think just having people to, in the same season to validate you and to tell you like you're gonna be okay or you're gonna get through it because
Yeah.
they already got through it or
Yeah.
they got through teething or they got through whatever season that your baby is in,
Yeah.
or even postpartum, like
Yeah.
different struggles with like
That's good.
nursing and your hair falling out and all these and
Yes.
your hormones all over the
Yeah.
place and like intimacy with your husband, like things that just
Yeah. That's good.
we don't always talk about after having a baby. And we
No.
think like, oh, everything's gonna like, I got my 6 week check from my doctor and
Right.
things are now gonna be great.
That's
Like,
all good. Yeah. No. No.
that was a huge lie. Like,
Yeah. No kidding.
I think that was a big expectation that I didn't
Mm.
necessarily think. I don't know. You just
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you just need your girls to just be able to tell you,
Yes.
like, I've already walked through this path,
Yeah.
like you're gonna get through it,
Yeah.
or this is what we've done to get through it.
So
And
good.
it's just been really like really healing, really validating. Just
Mm.
I don't know, having someone be compassionate that knows exactly
Yes.
what you're going through. And I think moms in general, like I felt like once I became a mom, I joined this like underground secret club that I
Yeah.
didn't know ever existed.
Totally.
Whereas like moms all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it's just this club. Like you can
Yep.
talk to any mom
Yep.
and they just know
Yeah.
how you are, how you feel. And so
Mm.
I think just making sure that I have that in that community has been
Mm.
probably one of the biggest things to just make sure
Mm.
my heart stays happy and
Yeah.
I if I'm in a funk, they pull me out or they tell
So
me
good.
like, "Hey, knock it off."
Oh.
Like they just know me. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to have people around you that know you, that
Mm.
know who the real you is,
So
that you
good.
can be genuine with,
Yeah.
and you don't have to have like a facade, like when you're a coworker or something, and you
Yeah.
just kind of put on a fake facade to get through the day.
Yeah.
So that's been really helpful.
That's so beautiful. That's so
Yeah,
so
and
good.
Reading is a really hard place
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many people come to do school and
Right.
they're here for 3 years and then they leave.
Right.
And then
Right.
so it's hard to like
Yeah.
want to invest in community because
Right.
you never know if people are going to all of a sudden get up and leave.
Yeah.
But I think with the group that we have, like we all knew that like we're all done with school. We all knew that I think this is home until
Yeah.
it's not, like until we're called somewhere else.
Right.
But at least it seems more permanent, and so it's a little feels sometimes like a gamble to kind of
Right.
open up to people,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think the payout for doing it is
Yeah.
just been the best. So
That's so good.
yeah,
Yeah.
just risking it is totally worth it.
Mm. That's so good. Awesome. Okay, well, I love to talk about or ask moms about mom guilt. And if that's something that you felt, and whether or not you have some tools to kind of walk through that in this stage that you're in.
Yeah, so I don't feel like I feel it as much now as I did when we were in the NICU.
Mm.
So when we were in the NICU, like I had a really challenging pregnancy. I think anything that like you can get, I got. Like
Oh my
even if it
gosh.
was like 1% of people get this,
No
they
way.
tag me on to that 1%. Like
Mm.
I had anything and everything, I feel like. And so one of the things I had was the gestational diabetes.
Wow.
And so I had to monitor that really well, and it was under control, but like I still just had to be careful. And so when Lily was born and into the NICU, the doctor didn't really know very much about achondroplasia just because it's not very common.
Okay.
And so he was doing the best that he could, but he would say things like, well, the reason she's sick is because she was born at 37 weeks, which was as long as I could carry her for.
Wow.
And so we had to schedule that. And so I think I felt guilty, like, oh,
Oh
I
man.
didn't wait long enough, or like maybe I could have gone an extra week,
Oh
or
man.
like that's why she's sick. Or he would say like, well, or it's because the mom had gestational diabetes,
Oh,
and
that's horrible. Oh
okay,
my gosh, that makes me so
that's
mad.
another one. And then he would throw out terms like he just bless his heart just did not know about achondroplasia, and then he would say things like, or she has the double dominant gene and that's why she's sick. And
Oh
then
my
Jeremy and I
gosh.
would go into this spin of like, but she's not
But
gonna die,
right.
like she doesn't have that gene.
Oh my gosh.
I think like it was the most extreme mom guilt that I felt was
Oh
like
man.
doctors were trying to figure out why she had these things that she had, and they had no explanation for it because there isn't
Oh,
really an explanation for why it happens. And
yeah.
so it seemed like they were trying to find a reason, and it
Mm.
always pointed back to me, or it pointed back
Oh
to
my
like
gosh.
mom didn't do this, or mom decided to
Oh
have her baby at
man.
37 weeks. And so that was really, really challenging.
Jeepers.
Um, and I, if I'm honest, wanted to punch the doctor in the face.
Yeah, I want to punch him in the face. That's crazy. Like to
Kind of
say
how
that
I
to
got to it.
anybody, like, but specifically a mother who's just given birth, like all of the hormones in your body, like you can't. It's so hard to like function just in like normally after all that. But oh man, that
Right. And
riles me up.
so I like, yeah, wanted to punch him in the face. So anything after that, like, I think that was like the most extreme guilt that I felt, that
Yeah.
now I feel like everything else feels so little or
Yeah,
feels.
that's actually really a really nice
So
way to look at
I
it.
I don't feel
Wow.
like I struggle with mom guilt a whole
Yeah.
lot because I'm like, well, that's not mom guilt
Yeah.
because that was mom guilt in the NICU, and
Wow.
I don't deal with that every day.
Yeah, that's
Um,
actually seems like a blessing in disguise almost, like for
yeah,
at least the way that you've taken it, which is pretty amazing.
I think the one thing that happened, like one time Lily was not sleeping well and we were really tired, and like we're just having one of those nights of like she kept waking up every couple hours, and this was after she had been sleeping long stretches.
Mhm.
So we were like, why won't you just go to sleep?
Mhm.
And so every like in the middle of the night I would get so frustrated and
Mm.
was losing my mind
Oh yeah,
probably.
I
And
feel
then
you.
I woke up in the morning and her nose had like was crusted in boogers, and like
Oh.
she had like got her first cold,
Oh,
and so it's like,
baby.
oh, that's baby girl, that's
Yeah.
why you couldn't sleep. But it was like dark, so I
Dude, yeah,
couldn't
you
see
can't.
all
Yeah.
of the boogers in her nose. So
Oh,
I so like I mean, I guess like that was another time when I felt like, oh, a
yeah.
little guilty
Yeah.
of I'm sorry for being mad at
Oh
you.
my gosh. Yeah.
You just had like a crusty booger icicle shoved up your nose. So
Oh man, I could tell. I like literally like I'm running through my mind. Like I had a couple of those nights where I'm like, oh, I can't. I just can't do it right now. Like, and then the next day you're like, oh, that's why. Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy how that happens.
Um so yeah, I think that's like the guiltiest I've felt
Mm-hmm.
recently, which on like a grand scheme of things, I feel like
Yeah,
isn't that big of a deal, and
that's good.
I don't take it personally, or I don't take take a hold of it, I guess. Like
Yeah, that's good.
I don't take ownership of it really. Like
Mm,
I'm like, "Oh, my bad. Okay, I'll do better next time."
right.
Or so I don't know. I don't take it on as my identity of
It's really
who I
good.
am as a mom, or that I'm a bad mom because I didn't see that she had boogers. So, um, yeah, I guess it just hasn't really been a struggle
Yeah,
since in the
that's
NICU
awesome.
when I wanted to punch that guy in the
Yeah,
face.
oh my gosh, seriously. That's really good though, as far as saying, just saying you don't take it on as your own. You don't I don't know, claim it as like, oh, this is defining who I am or who I will be as a mother. Like cuz I think it's so easy to go there when you aren't totally like straight in your mind like with the hormones and everything. So
Yeah,
but I think that's just a really great way to like kind of if that's triggered to remind yourself like this doesn't mean that this is makes me a bad mom or whatever. um I think that's really good. And I don't know, I just love to like touch on those things, like how powerful our words are and the things we speak over ourselves and the things we think and all of that. So I love that you touched on that. That's great.
yeah, that's good.
Okay, so I love to talk about legacy as well. And what are some things that come to mind when you hear the word legacy, and what you guys want to leave to your kids someday?
Yeah, I think there's two things. I think the first one is more of like no matter what our kids put their mind to, they can accomplish or they can do.
Mm,
Like we our family lives in a world that's not really built for us, and there's a lot of people that are telling us like you can't do this or you can't do that, or
wow.
finding jobs are really challenging for the little person community. Like
Wow.
there's a lot of discrimination, even though people don't like to admit it. Like
Wow.
there are challenges that come with being little, or people just making judgments when they see you. And so I think like I just want my kids to know that whatever they put their mind to, like they can do. And they may have to fight harder. Like
Mm,
they may have to like if they want to get to the same point that their peers are getting to, they may have to fight twice as hard
mm,
to get there, but they can do it. And I just want to, I don't know, set a stage for them
yeah.
to not be afraid to take risks and
So good.
fall. And if they fall, like we'll pick them back up, and
Mm,
they'll get back and they'll do it again. And just not being afraid to like do what they want, even if society tells them
mm,
that they can't. Um,
wow.
and so I think like that's one thing. And then also like I just would love to be able to financially bless my kids,
Mm,
and teach them. Like I think our generation, or maybe it's just me, I don't know, but
yeah.
I feel like there's so much that you don't really learn in school,
Oh my
like
gosh, yes.
useful things of like how to be an adult,
Yep.
how do you buy a car, or how
Mm-hmm.
do you get a house loan, or how do you like all these things that
Yeah.
are like crucial adulting things
Yeah.
just seem so hard for whatever reason that I just want to like be able to set a place
Mm,
that I can make that a little bit easier for my kids, or they'll know like, hey, when you buy a house one day, this is your inheritance that you'll get, or
mm.
this is something that we can help you with, or
That's
I don't
so
know,
good.
if you want a car loan, like
Yeah.
we'll help you walk through the paperwork
Yeah.
or whatever. Like there
Yes.
just seems like I don't know, in our season of life, there's so much unknown
Yeah.
that we feel like we're kind of treading the waters and figuring it out all
Yeah.
on our own. And we never learned that in school anywhere,
Yeah.
and we never, like, I didn't learn it from my parents.
Right.
And so I would love to, I think, make that a little bit easier for them, just so they can, I don't know, start sooner, or like
Yeah.
buy a house sooner than we are, or
Yeah.
like things that just seem like we have to try a little bit harder for. Like,
Mm.
I want our ceiling to be their floor, and I
Yeah.
want like our success that we try hard for to be a stepping block that
I love
they can have
that.
access to.
That's so great. I think I actually haven't heard those like actually very practical tools shared in this regard. And I think that's so good. I'm like nodding as you're speaking because I remember, trying to do different things, even like little stuff like car insurance or getting health insurance and being like, what is our world? Like, I have no idea where to go or who to talk to.
Ah,
And then you have to, like, oh, don't even get started on health insurance, man. I like have been through the ringer with that kind of stuff, like on phone calls. So I really actually really appreciate it. And I think I'm going to take that on myself too. Just like, giving the practical tools to our kids so that they don't feel like they're, flopping around helpless or whatever.
right. And it's not like I want to do it from a place of like, I don't want them to struggle, or I
Right.
don't want, like, I want to just hand everything to
No,
them all in
totally.
one tiny platter. I just
Yeah.
think, like, if I personally had some of these tools of
Yeah.
like, this is what you need to buy a house.
Yep.
This is who you contact. This is like all the ducks that you need in a row. And I didn't have to like research that or figure that through
Mm,
trial and error. I think
yeah.
it would have been so helpful. So,
Yeah. That's really good. I love that. Love it. All right. Well, I can't believe we're almost done. This has been so nice. I like to end with some fun questions. So the first one would be, do you have, oh, you mentioned products before, so this one's all you, girl. Favorite product for yourself or for Lily right now that you're loving, or you can give multiple too, because I'll add the links for people.
yeah, okay. So they're all mostly all baby related because that's my
Yes,
life at the moment. So the Ollie Swaddle
nice.
has been our lifesaver. Like, we kind of called her Houdini, where she would
Oh,
always sneak her arms out.
yep.
And this one was like, we could really lock her in. Like, she like didn't love the swaddle, but loved it.
Yeah.
Like, once you got her in, she was happy. So
Oh,
the Ollie swaddle was really helpful. Um, we have the Hatch sound machine, which has been
nice.
great because it never turns off. And she's currently sleeping in our room still.
Yeah.
And so I don't know who's going to be more addicted to that when
Oh
she
my
leaves.
gosh, yeah.
It's going to be
Totally.
her or me that's going to want one.
Yes.
Um, that, and then we have I don't even know what it's called. Her little sleep suit is fantastic. It's like, I, I don't know. I don't
Oh,
to look up the brand. I don't
yeah,
even
that's fine.
remember what it is. But that's been fantastic. And then she also has this little it's called a Mimos pillow.
Oh,
And it's like a super fancy pillow, but our baby's head is a little bit bigger than average, and she has a really hard time holding her head up or even moving her head because
okay.
the girl has a big head.
Oh,
And but because of that, she was kind of getting a flat spot on her head.
okay.
And so there's this fancy pillow that's kind of been great at reshaping her head a little
Oh,
bit.
nice.
And so that's been wonderful too. So they're all
Lovely.
the like sucker parent
Oh, I
products, I
love
feel
it.
like,
I love
that
it.
I originally was like,
Yeah.
I, I don't need
Yeah.
those. Like, what parent needs that? And
I
then
know.
I've totally become that person of like, I want all the
Yeah.
things.
I really appreciate that. That's great. I'll try and get links for those things. So if anyone's interested, they can kind of check those out. But
Yeah.
that's great. Okay. And then do you guys have a favorite holiday family tradition?
Yeah, so I didn't have really any growing up as a kid, but Jeremy's family, I married into some traditions, which I'm all
Nice.
about. So I think my favorite tradition is Christmas morning. Um, we have bacon and we make homemade churros for Christmas.
No
And
way. That's so
yeah,
cool.
and I've never heard of anyone
What?
making
No,
churros
that's
before.
awesome.
Like, I thought like pancakes or like French toast or something normal, but it's like this huge family production
No
of like
way.
the boys, because the batter is really really thick and hard to beat, I guess.
Oh
And
my
so the
gosh.
boys would all take turns like around the stove trying to mix it,
No way.
and so it's just this big like family event of making churros, covering them in cinnamon and
Oh,
sugar, and then all we eat for breakfast is churros and bacon,
oh
and
my gosh. That sounds amazing.
it's the best until like 2 p.m. when we all crash.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah.
it is it is fantastic.
Oh, that's
So
so cool.
um yeah, that's one of my favorites. And then this year we decided we wanted to buy all of our kids an ornament every year, so that way
Oh,
when they're grown up, they can have like their own set of ornaments
I
to
love
take
that.
um, when they get married or when they
Oh,
move out on their own. Because we just had to go to like when we got married, we had to go to Target
yeah.
and we got like the cheap box of
Yep.
cheap all the same color ornaments, and our tree just doesn't look as
Yeah.
eclectic as it did when we were kids.
Oh,
So this year we bought Lily a couple ornaments and we're gonna try to do that every year for our kids so that
that's
way
awesome.
they have something to start with when they're done.
Oh, that's so cool. I love
Yeah.
that. Cool. Okay, and then a piece of advice that you'd give to a new mom.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is hard, I feel like a little bit because I feel like I'm still a very new mom
Yeah.
that doesn't have a ton of advice. But I think like just supporting on like just not being afraid to ask for help
Mm,
when you're in the middle of being a very new mom. Like
yeah.
if people want to offer you dinner or if people want to offer you to do stuff, I tend to be like, "Oh, I don't need help. I don't need help." But I think just not being afraid to like take people up on it and
Mm,
um, just really accepting help is is really great, and also just soaking up every moment. Like I think someone told me that like you feel like you're even if you have maternity leave or you don't have leave,
mm,
like the first 12 weeks you think is a long time, but it really just flies
yeah.
by. And so
Yeah.
just to be able to like sit and not do anything and not worry about if you have dirty laundry or you're wearing the same clothes
Yeah.
that you've been wearing for the last 4 or 5 days. Um,
Yes.
like not worrying about that stuff and just being able to just sit and rest and soak up every single moment with your sweet little babe, because
Mm,
I think um, someone said like you never know when the last time will be that you'll be doing what you're doing. So
yeah.
like
Yeah.
if your baby is falling asleep on you, that could be the last time
Yep.
that happens. Like you never know
Yep.
when they're gonna transition out of their little
That's
comfort
right.
seasons. And so anytime like I think Lily has fallen asleep or like I've snuggled with her a little bit,
Yeah.
I've just tried to soak up every single
Mm,
moment in my brain
so
and like
good.
made a mental picture of it just because I never know, like that could be the last time she
Yeah.
wants to snuggle before she, I don't know, gets
Yep.
bigger and is too big for it or doesn't sleep as well being held. And so
Mm,
I think just I don't know,
that's
it's
great.
I think
Yeah.
similar advice that someone gave me about my wedding day is just making sure you stop and you like make note of making mental pictures in your brain, because if
Mm,
you don't
yep.
it's just gone before you know it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's great advice. I am, it just takes me back to like when she was that age and sleeping on me. I remember I was doing this podcast, thankfully, like back during that time. And I'm so grateful because I actually remember being like, okay, I don't care if she falls asleep on me or, I'm just going to kind of throw out all the rules. And I'm so glad I did because, yeah, now she like doesn't want to be held like, unless she's sick, like, there's no holding this kid. She's like crazy
Yeah,
independent. So I just think that's so sweet. And I heartily agree. It's so
yeah.
good.
Well,
Oh, well, Megan, thank you so much for doing this, for taking the time to share your story and to yeah, just share your goodness with us. I'm so, so grateful.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's been fun.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's interview. Please share this with a friend if it impacted you in any way, and leave a review on iTunes so other mamas can hear the truth that they are enough and they are doing their very best. Be sure to catch up on what's happening in the Mommispace community every day on Instagram at Mommispace. And you can email me at mommispace@gmail.com for questions or interview recommendations. All my love to you, Mama. You're amazing. See you next week. Just to say that I'm the one you love. It's so like you to do the best for one, the best for love. It's so like you to do the best for